Testing, checking the notification. Get a notification. Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. A little bit of technical differences. EK's on top of it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry about it. I lost 2 subs this week. You don't do content every single day. I don't want to subscribe to your channel. Oh, it's too hot. It's too hot to do an episode. It was like 110 degrees in the shade that Wednesday. Jerks. You unsubscribe? There's literally 1,000 videos on this channel. There's no way you're that hungry for fresh content from me. Go back and watch some old episodes. Watch my face get bigger and smaller as like time goes on, depending like winter, summer, winter. Enjoy that aspect of it. Make fun of me when I'm fatter. I can't get much uglier. So, I mean, you're welcome. I do all this work. It's not like all of you are paying. Maybe some paying customers have some right to complain. All right. I took a week off. All right. Friday is Independence Day. All right. We took an early week off. And you know what? It's doing the show is about 2 hours a day of writing, putting stuff together, video editing, and all that stuff. About 2 hours a day, every day. I took a week off and I enjoyed it. I read some G.I. Joe comic books. I played some video games. I did stuff I wanted to do. But now we're back in business. Okay. Big crybabies. Anyway, thanks for being such good sports. I'm the Madman. This is Shock Monkey Radio. I want to remind you that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. And then you would have every right to complain about missing a week. Hashtag Shock Monkey Radio if you want to send me money through Cash App. I would appreciate that as well. And if you do send me money through Cash App, throw me a mailing address so I could send you a little sticker pack. I got a couple sticker packs left that I can send out to new patrons or people who send me money through Cash App. So if you want some stickers, Shock Monkey Radio stickers, that's one way to do it. Also, you can follow me on social media over here. Let's see here. Weird notes. I was really drunk when I made this note. I know that. I could tell. We have been having a lot of fun playing that role-playing game lately. And since 4th of July is coming up, I want to talk a little bit about why I really wanted to play this. First of all, it's like you can bring up that picture of what's his name, Boxcars. If he looks familiar to you, that's on you. All right, I think maybe you're seeing something that isn't there. This is a completely original character that I came up with. But it's basically, it's a G.I. Joe type campaign. And so we got this guy, Boxcars. And EK's character is called Matches, or what's it, Ghostface? What's his Ghostface killer? Ghostfire is his code name, but everyone calls him Matches because of he's like half like one man on a match kind of guy. He's not two on a match. He's very strict about it. And it's fun, playing with these characters and stuff like that. But at the same time, we're looking at the Vietnam conflict. EK and I are looking at maps of the Mekong Delta and so forth, the Antoy naval base. We had a discussion in the game about the Geneva Conventions, and because their boss is like, "Why did you capture this guy? You just should have killed him." It's because of the Geneva Conventions. And we had this conversation about the Geneva Conventions, and you understand it's rules of war that are agreed upon by all nations. All right, it's insane. Okay. It's like the UN. It's insane. All right, it's impossible to come up with something like rules of war that have been agreed upon by all nations. It's ridiculous. After all, in Vietnam, they were hiding stuff among civilian populations. They were violating the Geneva Conventions. All terrorism is violating the Geneva Conventions. When Hamas hides under a hospital, that's a violation of the Geneva Conventions. And so you get into these conversations and you start understanding, global politics and warfare. We also had a conversation about the Uniform Code of Military Justice and how it's like your character could do that, but you'll probably end up in handcuffs in the brig and you're going to be flown back to Hawaii for a court-martial. You know what I mean? Because you're under a different set of laws. And so all these guys that I'm playing this game with, most of them never served in the military. And so we're having conversations of stuff that I learned in the military, and I'm helping, spread that knowledge. And when it comes to serving in the Navy, I mean, I'm glad I didn't have to serve in some horrific place like Vietnam, but it's part of who I am. I mean, when I joined the Navy, when I was in the Navy looking at the American flag and I'd want to quit. I'd say, I want to do whatever I have to do, just get out of here and go home. Like at boot camp, it's a really tough day in boot camp. But then, I'd look at the flag and I'd realize that the people of America have decided that I was good because I scored high enough on the ASVAB. The people of America have decided that I'm worthy of training for the defense of this nation. And I found that to be an incredible honor. And I thank
you, Lee.
Hey, Cobra. Yep, Lee. You're right. Cobra never would have agreed to the Geneva Conventions. Anyway, but I think that I was serving the American public, and the American public had faith in me to be a capable sailor within the United States Navy. And I guess I was, good conduct medal and stuff like that. That's the only medal I got. I wasn't a badass ninja, you know what I mean? Even though I requested ninja training, I actually filled out a form, a request chit, they called. I said, I will re-enlist for a ninja training school. And my chief disapproved it. He said, you have to be part of the Japanese National Defense Force to receive ninja training. And so, oh, okay. I didn't know the rules. I figured if I was ever going to be trained to become a ninja, the best shot I had at trying to be one would be to ask the Navy to train me to be a ninja. They said, no, we like you fixing computers. I'm like, all right. No ninja for Scott. And so, and I think about, serving the United States in the Navy. I think my dad joining the Navy during Vietnam when they're having the draft lottery. He had a friend, I think worked at the post office, warned him that what number was coming up, and it was his number. So my dad joined the Navy. He said, I'm going to avoid Vietnam. So he goes in the Navy and gets selected to become a corpsman. And so he goes to train after Navy boot camp in his corpsman training school. He goes to train with the Marines in California to be a corpsman. And you've seen those in movies, the guys who are always patching up people with the Marines. They're Navy guys. Docs, corpsmen. Medics. That's the word I was thinking of. And so, but before that training, he excelled in his studies and so forth, and was selected to be part of a neurological and psychological team out of Okinawa. So he avoided the actual combat. Although there were a couple Marines in the Okinawa base that broke into an arms locker and started shooting at people. My dad had to take cover from U.S. Marines who went nuts and started flipping out, shooting at people. Rough time, Vietnam. My grandfather also served in the Navy. He was a yeoman, second class. He was in the European theater, I think in the Italy campaign. He was a yeoman, which is like a clerk, a scribe, that kind of thing, filer. But everybody on a ship has a duty, and his duty was being a coxswain on a what are they called, the landing craft, troop landing craft. And he did that. Then he went to the Pacific Theater and did that there too. Then he swam in some lagoon in the Pacific, one of the Pacific Islands, and he caught like a disease in his respiratory system. Ended up with asthma the rest of his life. So it's family tradition to be patriotic, I think, for me. I'm very proud of my service. I bitched the whole time I was in. But, people would say, bitchin' sailor was a happy sailor. While I was in, people would say that to me. I complained about it the whole time, but I'm very proud of my service. I'm very glad to be a part of the tradition. I wish I had a son and he would be in the Navy now. He'd be writing me letters and stuff. But when I think about what I did in the Navy, and I think about America, it's like, I love this country, the concept of my beloved republic. I'm upset the way things are going these days, the way places like California and New York are turning. Because I served in the Navy with people from California and New York and stuff like that. And there's decent people from all over this country, and some places are being ruined. And I don't know, it kind of breaks my heart. I want to change the subject. Have a happy 4th of July. All right, I'll change the subject. I didn't mention this last week because the show. I didn't do the show. Boxcars. Anyway. All right. Yeah. Last week I met the Vulture. I'm talking about the Sinister Six again. Glad I'm in the club. These guys are a strange bunch of guys. And I'll tell you, Adrian here, Adrian Toombs, he's the real Vulture. Blackie Drago, any of these other pretenders, forget it. This is the Vulture, Adrian Toombs. Funniest, hands down, the funniest member of the Six I've met so far. He's literally, I'll put it like this. He would go, hey, did you hear that? And you're like, oh no, Spider-Man coming or something like that. And he'd fart. He's that kind of guy. He's the kind of guy, I guarantee, if a little kid come up to you and say, hey, mister, how you doing? And he goes, pull my finger, kid. I guarantee he's that kind of guy. And he and I were laughing and joking, having drinks. And boy, the guy can drink. I mean, I'm drinking beers. He's drinking like scotch. Matching me 1 for 1. And we're getting hammered. Had so much fun with this guy. And so we had a conversation. It's like, he's like, what you want to do? And I was thinking like electric monkey, shock monkey or something like that. And he's like, well, that's kind of a good idea. It's like, I want to use some of your old wing tech so I can like fly around like a flying monkey, like in a Wizard of Oz. And he goes, okay. It's like, all right, I guess Vulture doesn't think that's a good idea. It's like, but can I use the tech? And he's like, yeah, you can use my old wings. And I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go grab some of these electric pumpkin bombs from the Green Goblin and wear like a monkey mask or something. And he's like, okay. So I don't know if Adrian, thought it was a good idea or I don't know. I haven't discussed the themes of what I'm going to be in the Six with anyone else. And I don't know. He just didn't seem to receive it very well. But we were drinking a lot, and we were talking about the symbiotes, and we're drinking a lot. And I really don't remember this whole conversation because I've been out of the loop about like the origin of the symbiotes and stuff like that. And he tells me about this guy named Null, and how he's on the hit list of the Sinister Six, but he's like top tier. Apparently he's like a god or something like that created all the symbiotes and controls it or something. I was real drunk. I didn't follow a whole lot of this, but it's like the granddaddy of all the symbiotes, all the carnage, all the screams, all the symbiotes. And the Sinister Six is going to need help with this guy. And that's the impression I got from Adrian. Adrian was like, there's no way, like even all of the Sinister Six probably couldn't take out this guy. We'd probably need help from like Apocalypse or something like that. Magneto. See if we can get some of the Brotherhood of Mutants involved in this, because it's such a daunting task. You know, such a funny guy, you know, drinking, having fun, pull my finger kind of guy. But then we got the heaviest of subjects. I mean, I think that's why he was kind of like, with my concept. He's like, you're going to use our leftover stuff and we got to fight guys like this. You have a hell of a point, Vulture. You have a hell of a point. Anyway. Thank you so much for allowing me into the Sinister Six. I'm learning a lot. There's a test at the end of the like probationary period, and I have to pass that. So I gotta study up on Null and all the other spider assholes. Let's get a little bit crass, a little crude. I had a conversation. You remember the story I told about the girl at Wawa who fainted in front of me? She started trembling and then she kind of like dropped down. And I said, well, if you need to sit down, go ahead and sit down. And then she stood up and I said, well, lean against the counter. And she's leaning against the counter. She's looking at me. Her eyes are kind of vacant, just staring at me and smiling. And I was just like, breathe. You know? And then the manager came around and like pulled her off, you know, so forth. And I was telling this guy, it was the most interesting thing that happened to me all month. So I've been telling everybody about it. And I was telling this other guy about it. And he said to me, hey, I don't think she fainted. And I was like, what are you talking about? Hear me out. He said, she was having an orgasm. I was like, what? Yeah, she was having an orgasm. That's why she did what she did. She like crouched down. She's like shaking, you know, and she stood up and she's smiling. She's got like that look in her eyes, and she's probably like looking at your face and imprinting, psychologically imprinting your face. And so for the rest of her life, she's going to be looking for a guy that kind of looks like you. And I'm like, the whole time I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, you know, there's little devices that you can buy. You can put them in your panties or you can put them up inside you. And your boyfriend or your girlfriend could sit there and app on their phone and beep, beep, send you an orgasm. And I'm looking at him telling the story, and it's like, I cannot believe that this is what actually happened. But I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, are you the guy who doesn't skip ads while watching porn? It's just this one weird event has created so many strange conversations in my life. You know what I mean? Anyway. So I've been freaking out my family with these AI pics of me. You can pull up that first one. Because I post these as like profile pictures.
Nothing like you.
I know, and my mom would text me. It's like, that's not you. She would text me. Like, that's not you. I'd get up in the morning, I come upstairs, and with the other one too, she'd be like, that isn't you. And I think it's because like there's a bunch of beautifully clad bikini babes behind me. It's like, there's no way you'd ever be around that many chicks in bikinis. Why are you wearing this shirt? It's like, well, they had their birthday. Their birthday's the same day, and it was at the yacht, and they had these t-shirts printed up. How's this hard to understand? This is really me. But I just took an old picture of me. It's, I think, probably the best picture I've ever had of me. And I fed it into this machine dozens of times into Grok. And it spit out this picture. It's probably the best one. I had the other one with the 80s glasses on. Similar. But I'd post these things. And my mom and my dad would be like, that isn't you. And I'm just like, AI is such an obvious lie that how do you not see how obvious it is? And that's this is me for real. This is me for real. I never looked like this. In fact, I think these are Leonardo DiCaprio's eyes. They're not my eyes. Right? And so I don't know. I kind of want to find some more old pictures. I'm wary of like getting old pictures of them and running them through AI, because that may make them real mad. You know, if it's just pictures of me, you know, how mad could they get? It's like, you know, it's not like I'm getting a tattoo on my face. Or that's what I should do. I should get like one like this, and then like now put a tattoo on my face like Mike Tyson. And then I'll send it to look what I did today. Send it to my folks. Anyway, fun with AI. Let's do a movie review and then we'll get into the news. The heat is rising, my friend. The heat is rising. I mean, it's still only like 9 degrees out right now. But with all the lights, computers, AC's off, gets hot quick. Yes, sir. And that's the point, like last week. It's like if we had turned everything on, the computer could have crashed. I could have passed out. Yeah, it was very hot. Hot and humid. Like I said, it was like 110 in the shade. All right, let's do this movie review. I watched Griff the Invisible, 2011 movie. I watch everything that you can watch for free. I watch this on Tubi. Sometimes the movies I watch through YouTube Movies, a channel on YouTube that has free movies, free with ads. And I do it so that you can go watch it tonight if you like it. I didn't see this promotional thing because if I saw this, the greatest superpower is love, I would not have watched it. I didn't see that. All I saw was a guy in a super suit that said Griff the Invisible. I was like, I'm going to watch this. Turns out it's romance. However, as romance, it's not so much a romance as it is love on the spectrum. You know what I mean? It's and being a little on the spectrum myself, kind of get it. I kind of enjoyed the romance of this movie. However, it is a very dangerous situation when you're talking about a mentally ill guy who can hold down a job, but in his spare time fantasizes and pretends to be a superhero. He's got a super suit and everything, and using like soaking a suit in lemon juice. He thinks he turns himself invisible. He's mentally ill, all right, and he's on the spectrum. But what he does is he plays like he's a superhero. And he's got this brother who's looking after him, and he's like, you already got picked up by the cops running around in a costume before. I don't want this to happen again. Because he does. He'll run around in costumes, and he'll find abandoned buildings and pretend to fight a bunch of guys. And pretend he's a superhero. It's play. It's somewhat dangerous. I mean, if he stayed in his apartment, I wouldn't see a problem with it. But, he could get in a lot of trouble doing this kind of stuff. But his friend is dating this girl, this fictional woman who no woman like this ever existed. All right. First of all, she's a little on the spectrum herself. She thinks she can phase through walls. She's like, there's a possibility that if there's all this empty space between atoms, I could stand on the wall and just find a moment where everything lines up perfectly. I can step through the wall. A little bit crazy herself, but she's dating this guy's brother, and his brother brings her around to meet his little brother that he thought was special and no big deal. It's so non-threatening that he brings his girlfriend around him. All right. Unfortunately, she takes a liking to him. All right. She takes a liking to him and starts to discover that he does this thing on the side, and she likes him, and she's like, I want to play with you, which is very cute. And she does kind of like try to play with him in the best way she could. All right, but here's the truth of the matter. After about 20 years old, women don't pursue men at all. All right, and that's why this is where that detracts a star from this movie. All right, and so in some way she's kind of like encouraging this behavior, and she shouldn't encourage him to do this kind of stuff. But although he likes her, he is like, you need to break it off with my brother. Because his brother kept coming around, man. I keep calling her. She keeps ignoring me. She doesn't answer my, messages. I don't know what's going on. She won't call me back. And she's spending all her time with him. And he's like, you need to break it off with my brother because I have to do this cleanly, which I thought was a very noble thing to do. And it's kind of the way superheroes really are. It's like, I met you because you were dating my brother. You need to make a clean break with him if you want anything between us to continue. Which is a very mature thing to want, even though if you're on the spectrum and you're like wearing a costume and running around the streets, you know what I mean? Fighting crime in your mind. You know what I mean? And it is romantic in the sense that, number one, a woman who pursues a man, especially a man like this, doesn't exist. but it's cute the way she does pursue him, you know, and I like it. And eventually, by the end of the movie, you realize they turn it into a game they play together. And hopefully they do it in a safe way, in a safe and controlled way. But you kind of assume that because the brother's involved at the end. And it's a very good, happy ending. I feel like I spoiled it. Sorry. But it's all real cute. It's all kind of hinged upon the lies like, you complete me. I think this was big in like Jerry Maguire romance era. It's like the idea that two people complete each other. It's far more common than you think it is. But I mean, in many ways, you can write a character in a romance and create two characters in a romance that actually do complete each other as people. And so that's kind of what a lot of this is based upon. It's the myth that two people can complete each other. And yes, it's true, but it's rarely as clean a fit as it is in this movie. And so the other lie is I can fix him or her, you know, and both of these characters looked at each other like, we could trim some rough edges off here, you know, and they looked at each other. And so in a way, like, and so a lot of people will think that when they get into a relationship where they're like, I could fix that person. I can sand them down so that they are a better fit for me, you know, and that's kind of a lie, kind of a, selfish lie. And, you know, and it destroys the person, really. You can't really fix anybody, but you can, you know, make something work. Anyway, Griff the Invisible. It's a romance, so take that with a grain of salt. I usually don't like romances, but as romances go, this is a 12 of 13 star romance. Very, very good. And I think it's only because I'm a little on the spectrum. It's only because I, at one time when I was like 14, like dressed up in a superhero outfit, ran around the neighborhood looking for crime. I didn't find anything. There was a missing cat. Someone posted a thing on a telephone pole. I looked for the cat. Couldn't find him. Nerd confessions. All right, let's get into the news worth knowing. Double shot. All right. So Diddy beats the RICO. I'm going to look over here. 4 people watching. Hey, what's up? So Diddy, this is rich privilege, found not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. All right, so we'll just go over the counts. So the jury in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking and racketeering trial reached a verdict on all counts on Wednesday. The jury found Diddy not guilty of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking charges. There should be a comma there between racketeering and conspiracy, sir. He was found guilty on both counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. So just driving them there. There's 3 people. Wait, hold on. There's 4 people in this article. Lauren Overholtz, Tracy Wright, Maria Peronich, Brendan McDonald. And not one of you caught that you need to have a comma there. And not to mention this long-ass headline. Can you do something about that, EK?
This one?
Yeah. That's a terrible headline. So not guilty in the RICO, not guilty in sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura, guilty in the Mann Act of transportation of Cassie Ventura, not guilty of sex trafficking for Jane, the Jane Doe, and the Mann Act transportation of Jane. He's guilty. So just he dodged a 20-year sentence for the RICO. Transportation to engage in prostitution could carry a sentence of up to 10 years. While sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion could carry a 20-year sentence. So do you think for each count, so you may do 20 years? I don't know. There's a quote. I don't care about the quote. I want to hear facts. Sex trafficking, blah, blah, blah. Parties will be granted a few hours to rearrange regarding Diddy's detention. Oh, my God. The judge joked he assumed Diddy did not want to return to MDC Brooklyn. The rapper shook his head very exaggeratedly and looked up with his hands together as if praying. That's when you send him to that place, right? After the judge left, Diddy knelt down with his arms on the chair in front of him. He then got up, faced the gallery, and started clapping. The courtroom opened up in applause and cheers for him. Combs could be heard saying, "Thank God," and "I love you" several times. Lawyers all hugged. Defense attorney Tenny Gallegos was crying as she hugged Combs' family. Family all embraced, sharing hugs. He's still guilty of being a pimp at the very least. Thank God.
This one's easy and it's obvious, and I feel like it would have gotten more readers.
Yeah.
Diddy beats multiple charges. You're giving too much away in the headline.
Yeah. There's 4 people on this wrote this article.
But also, rumors true.
Yeah.
Diddy beats multiple charges. Baby oil effective.
Baby oil effective beating. Yeah, he's a slippery son of a bitch because of all the baby oil. You see, it's strange how like all this weird sex stuff is happening, like happens in Hollywood and stuff like that. And people look up to these people. You look up to these people. You care about their opinions about politics and shit. This is the kind of stuff they do. I remember getting an argument on the internet one time about what you like to. It was I did a Tom Hanks movies or something like that. And somebody on the internet was like, Tom Hanks is he's a sex trafficking pedophile and stuff like that. It's like, geez, dude. I know that may be true, but I don't think that, if Tom Hanks came to me and told me to like vote a certain way, I was like, get bent, Tom. You did splash. I'll never forgive you for that. Because you were so desperate for work, you're like, I'm not fucking a fish. Anyway. They're all Hollywood weirdos, you know what I mean? And was it Justin Bieber that hung with Diddy when he was young? And Usher, yeah. And Bieber's messed up. He is a messed up guy. I'm glad he found Jesus and everything like that, but what happened to him? It's the whole Corey Feldman, Corey Haim thing. It all comes back around to that. And you care what these people vote, what their opinions are on politics? Oh, Robert De Niro comes out there and says, screw Trump, F Trump. And you're all supposed to be like, yeah, Robert De Niro was really good in a movie or two. So we should listen to him. Who's the more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him? Old man, I knew you were going to say that. No, you didn't, Han Solo. No, you didn't. Anyway, let's go to the next story. Jumping around all over the place again. Trump to begin enforcing birthright citizenship order as early as this month, the DOJ says. Trump administration lawyers told a federal judge Tuesday that they could begin enforcing Donald Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship before the end of July, moving quickly to enforce the controversial order just days after a landmark Supreme Court ruling. Lawyers for the administration told U.S. District Judge Deborah Boardman that they would not enforce Trump's executive order before July 27th in recognition of a 30-day stay ordered by the Supreme Court in its ruling last week. The court's stay thus allows defendants to immediately begin to develop and issue public guidance about the executive's plans to implement the executive order, Justice Department Attorney Brad Rosenberg said Tuesday in a court filing. The update comes after Trump officials testified Monday at an emergency hearing in Maryland where Boardman grilled government lawyers for details on how they plan to enforce the president's order. Trump's order, signed on the first day of his second White House term, directs all U.S. government agencies to refuse to issue citizenship documents to children born to illegal immigrants who do not have at least one parent who is an American citizen or a lawful permanent resident. Boom. I think we can stop there because there's a lot of words in this article. And kudos to the writer because Brianne Dippish, good writer. So that's the thing. It's like the whole birthright citizenship. The illegal immigrants have been exploiting that for a very, 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 very long time. They'll come in as illegal immigrants, and you drop a baby, boom, anchor baby. That's the whole point. It's like they drop, boom, I dropped a baby here. I have to stay because it's my baby. What are you going to do? I'm not going to let the state raise it. Well, I guess you get to stay too because you dropped a baby in the United States. You got to cross the imaginary line, It's unfortunately, imaginary lines are real borders and they really matter. Anyway, and they need to be enforced. And so what do I hope this leads to? I hope this leads to that you have to study in high school and you have to pass a citizenship test in order to graduate from high school. So even if you are as American as I am, born of Americans, many generations in this country, all right, Even I would have to go to school and be able to pass a United States citizenship test in order to graduate high school. And you know what would happen if everyone did that? You'd have more informed voters. You know what I mean? You'd have people who would understand how the government works, and that may affect how they vote, instead of all these idiots on the street where the guy comes up to them and is like, how many quarters are in a dollar? 6? Yes. You know, because this is the voting class. You know, these are the people whose votes count as much as I do. Mine does. You know what I mean? Anyway, if you're in this country, get it, illegally, you need to get out. Get out. I mean, I'm sorry. You're here illegally. That's against the law. I'm big on enforcing the law. Get out. Anyway, let's go to this next story. We're moving right along. The heat is kind of motivating me. It's getting hot in here. But I'm not going to take off all my clothes. LA hotel owners sound alarm as $30 minimum wage threatens to crush industry. Los Angeles hotel operators are fighting a $30 minimum wage hike that was passed by the city council amid a struggle with, quote, profitability. Quote, hotels don't just fuel tourism. Fuel tourism. I don't think it fuels tourism. It houses tourism. They support, anyway, the quote goes on, they support local workers and their families. These new regulations will force so many of us to fight to keep our businesses alive, putting thousands of those jobs and our livelihoods in jeopardy. Beccaria said in a press release sent to Fox Business by the American Hotel and Lodging Association, a coalition of airline, tourism, and hospitality businesses. Beccaria is a partner in the Hotel Angelino in West Los Angeles. Quote, my hotel is a family-owned business. We have been an important local economic driver for our community. Our hope is that we can keep our doors open and survive this new challenge for the next generation, he added in the release. The recently passed municipal ordinance mandates that hotels in the city must raise their hourly wage by $2.50 each year until they reach $30 in 2028. Hotel operators were looking forward to a major sporting event that help them bounce back after Los Angeles drop in tourism and travel are fed up with the mandate. LA is set to host the Olympics, Super Bowl, FIFA World Cup matches, and the NBA All-Star Game. Those are going to be messes. Anyway. But the upcoming sporting epics won't be enough to offset the increase in labor costs, they told the Wall Street Journal. Yeah. So you get the idea. It's like a lot of these mandates will come in through from the government, especially a liberal government like in LA. And they're like, well, we have to raise the minimum wage to $30. And it's like, yeah, now automation is going to be put in, and, people are going to lose jobs when you do that, when you do something like that. And it's just sad what's happening. I was mentioning earlier about California and New York and stuff like that. You're turning into these communist hellholes. All right. And I don't know if you researched like communist cities, but you start turning communist, and just it becomes a mess. It becomes an absolute mess. You go to a grocery store in Cuba, and then you'll understand what's a Zoran Mandani or whatever, the guy in New York mayor who's going to be next. Whatever his name is. He wants to seize the means of production. He says that aloud. He's openly a communist. Says it aloud. I want to seize the means of production. I want the government to control the grocery stores so we keep food prices down. In New York, the cost of living in New York, it's through the roof. It's like 150% of what it's like to live here. Like plus 150%. It's absurd. And these Democrats, they think that, I have this new idea. I'm going to seize the means of production. Watch. It's like, never heard of Cuba. Never heard of the Soviet Union. Anyway, you ever seen people line up so they can get a turnip each? It's insane. Capitalism is what drives this country. And New York and LA were the centers of these commercial hubs. They were the hubs of these this commercial nature of the United States on both ends of the coast. Now they've been taken over by a bunch of communists, and they're like, hey, well, we're going to tax the shit out of the rich people, And even the rich people who are leaving, they're like, no, 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 we're still going to tax you, even if you move to Florida. We're still going to tax you retroactively. Seriously, it's insane. And they're going to be like, well, all we have left are the dregs. All we have left are the immigrants, and none of them speak English. Go to New York, go to LA. It's not American anymore. It's a whole other country. All right? This is not what it's not what my coxswain character died for in Vietnam. It's not what boxcars died for in Vietnam. These people are destroying our country, and we need to stop them. I have some solutions, but people don't want to listen to it. First of all, you got to stop women from voting. Boom. Instantly. Republicans are in charge for a decade. Instantly. Because men overwhelmingly vote Republican. That's why there's all this war on men stuff. It's like, I was thinking back to man spreading. You haven't heard that in a while, right? When you said man spreading, I got my legs wide open. I'm doing that as a power move. I was like, you see what you want to see. It's this war on masculinity because the Democrats figured out, it's like, oh, men vote Republican. They're the assholes. And so they turn everyone, feminists, angry. They turn all these chicks, college chicks, angry at their father. And so much of the whole trans thing and the rioting in the streets is, it's just some kid, 20-year-old kid holding a sign that says, I hate my father. It's nothing new under the sun. Anyway. Let's talk about this. Speaking of which, the transgender cult killer. Trump. Nope. Woman accused in agents. Trump administration fast tracks death penalty case for transgender cult suspect in Border Patrol killing, say the attorneys. Attorneys for Teresa Youngblood. Ooh, that's a horrible name. The woman accused of the January 20th shooting that killed U.S. Border Patrol agent David Mayland are accusing the Justice Department of orchestrating a fast-tracked path to capital punishment that violates her constitutional rights. In a June 30 motion filed in the federal court, Youngblood's defense team called the government's timeline for deciding whether to pursue the death penalty unprecedentedly tight. It warned that it could render the pretrial process a near pointless formality. This quote: "This court should step in to ensure Ms. Youngblood receives meaningful opportunity to persuade the government not to pursue the death penalty." Youngblood, 21, has been linked by investigators to ZIZ, a fringe, self-described vegan, anti-government, transgender rights collective that federal authorities say may be connected to multiple homicides throughout the United States. According to the federal affidavit, Youngblood was driving a Prius with a German national Felix Buchholz, who is an alleged member of ZIZ. They were stopped by Border Patrol agents in Coventry, Vermont, January 20th. Prosecutors allege that Youngblood drew a .40 caliber Glock and fired without warning, starting a shootout that left both Buchholz and Mayland dead. Wonderful person. In their motion, Youngblood's defense attorneys, Stephen Barth and Julie Stelzig, argued that the Department of Justice is pushing forward with a January 28 deadline to present mitigating evidence to his capital case review committee, despite not having filed death-eligible indictment. Typical federal timeline, they argued, is for more than a year. Oh, there's a picture of Pam Bondi here. She's 60 years old. And I'd be like, yeah, would. I'm kind of disappointed in her performance. I was hoping you'd arrest more people by now, Pam Bondi. But like I was saying, like, this chick hates her father too. What I mean? It's and when it comes to these transgender people, they're obviously mentally ill, and the Democrat Party exploits that, like they've exploited the black community for so long. They exploit these mentally ill kids, and turn them into little Weather Underground people. You know what I mean? This is a new Weather Underground. They turn them into little. They think they're freedom fighters, but they're just terrorists. You know what I mean? Because they've been indoctrinated. This thing is like, I was thinking about how abortion. How do you convince young women that abortion is not killing a baby? It's like, well, no, it's your health care. They want to take away your health care. And if you're a young, naive woman, There's a few of them out there. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to go to the doctor because those evil men want to take away my health care. I want you to stop murdering your own children, you psychos. Anyway, let's go on to some happier stories. You want to go to a happier story? You sound like relieved. Thank you. Happier story. Everything all right? A pop-up? Those pop-ups.
Yeah, I was trying to post a news story.
I saw some differences. Oh, I see. That's we're not doing that story. Well, there it is. There's a news story we're not talking about. All right. While you play with that, I'll do this. Man confronts woman with forbidden dog inside a coffee shop, sparking heated debate. Forbidden dog. I don't know. Yeah, it makes it sound like a chupacabra or something like that, or a Cujo. All right, so coffee shop patron who confronted another customer about having a dog inside the store said he was accused of acting improperly for questioning the woman about it. A Reddit user wrote about his recent coffee shop experience in Manhattan Beach, California, on a popular subreddit page. As soon as I open up the door, I'm hit with a dog looking at me at hip levels, sitting on a chair in this small shop, wrote the man. He is 33 years old. The dog is indoors, and the door has a clear "No Pets" sign. I watched for a second. This clearly isn't a service animal, and she was letting it interact with several other guests. That's when the man said he decided to approach the woman about it. I asked her why she ignored the "No Pets" sign, and she ignores me. I asked her, did you miss the "No Pets" sign? She immediately says, I think you should stop harassing me. This lady played the victim and called me an a-hole. The man said that another customer stepped up for her and then confronted him, asking him why it's an issue and telling him not to be an a-hole and drop it. I wave the guy off. I tell him I care and I don't like dogs. And he said, I care and I don't like dogs. He said, I say, it's not hard to not bring your dog into a coffee shop that doesn't allow dogs. Man writing on Reddit said he had complained to the employee at the stop who didn't seem interested in enforcing anything. Many commenters agreed with the man, but felt he handled the situation poorly. And then a bunch of people comment on what he did. All right. Here's the thing. This is what some people might call Karen behavior, right? Why can't you mind your business? Why can't you mind your business? Well, it clearly says no dogs. Maybe I wanted to bring my dog with me today, but I knew that this store had that sign on the window. But this bitch has her bitch with her. So why can't I have my bitch with me? So it could be something like that. You know, also the rules matter. They matter. And they should matter. In fact, laws are rules. I'm big on enforcing laws. Like, get the hell out of my country if you're illegally here. You know what I mean? That's a law. It's a rule. You know? And if the rule is no pets are allowed in the coffee shop, there should be no pets in the coffee shop. It should be the employee's job to do that. And every patron in that place should know that whoever brought the pet in is in the wrong. All right? You can call it Karen behavior. But here's what I like about Karens. They're standing up for our rights. I remember I saw this one video where this guy was like riding his motorized scooter in a place where you're not supposed to be riding a motorized scooter, and this lady comes up and confronts him, say, hey, you're not supposed to be riding that in these dirt paths. You know, people are walk through here. You can knock people down and so forth. And it's just like, okay, whatever. And then drives off, and in the text later when he uploaded it online, it's like, whatever, Karen. You know, it's like, what a pussy. It's you know, acknowledge that you did something wrong and move on. And say, okay, I won't be back. I won't be back through here with this. You know, just accept it. And if you brought your dog into a coffee shop, you can lie and say, oh, I didn't notice the sign, and then possibly leave. All right? But unfortunately, the employee's just there. I just want to collect my paycheck, man. I don't want to cause any problems. I'm not going to enforce this rule, you know. And even the other customers in there going, hey, come on, man, don't be an a-hole. Just let it go. Just let it go. And screw your dogs. I'm sick and tired of people taking their damn pets everywhere with them. Are you serious? You know, look, I like dogs. I like cats. They're very cute and everything like that. But I'm sick and tired of seeing them everywhere. All right? Stop doing that, you psychos. And you know, like for many women, it's a replacement for children, right? They'll come home and what's the first thing out of their mouths? They say to their cats, "Mommy's home." And of course, she's not married. She doesn't have any kids because she's a feminist and she went to college. But I got my cats and I'm mommy to the cats. All right, I'm kind of interested in your opinion on this story there, EK. Worker's unusual lunch spot backfires after uncomfortable confrontation. Was I being disrespectful? I think no. But the internet erupted recently when a Reddit user revealed an unusual lunch location, sparking strong reactions. The user began by noting that he or she was an introvert working on a highly social customer service job. And this was posted in the Am I the A-Hole subreddit. I often take my lunch hour alone to recharge. Exactly. I'm the same. Too many people. Next door to my workplace is a big, well-kept cemetery. On nice days, I take my lunch to one of those benches and eat my sandwich and read a book. Sometimes I'll walk along the paths and read the gravestones. But recently, the lunch spot led to an uncomfortable social situation that left the person shaken up, as relayed in the post. Last week, I just finished my lunch and was packing things away when another visitor approached me and we began chatting. They said they were here to visit their parents, who I asked whom I had lost. The person went on and said, I had to admit that I have no loved ones buried here, but that I was coming here because it was peaceful and I needed a place to take a break from my work. The grieving person responded with disgust and accused the lunch eater of treating the cemetery like a personal park, which took the Reddit poster aback. I apologized and left immediately, and I haven't been back since. Wrong, sir. No, you shouldn't have done that. But I am surprised to hear this, and I had not thought of that I was being disrespectful. All right, 24 million people responded to this. What do you think, EK? Is that disrespectful to eat lunch in a cemetery if you don't have any loved ones there? Because I've hung out in cemeteries. I like at night, if it's raining, there's like a thunderstorm, you'll see some like rich billionaire making vows near a real big vow to fight crime. You go to hang out in the middle of the night. You thinking about it?
I would think it's not disrespectful.
Okay. Anything else?
How often do you go to the cemetery to visit your loved ones?
Not often. Exactly. You think they could use the company, or I think the souls have departed?
In either case,
yeah.
If you don't respect them enough to visit their gravesite every day,
yeah.
Why were you upset someone else is visiting your gravesite? Now, unless they were eating their lunch propped up against the grave.
Yeah, well, like your foot up on somebody's grave or something like that. Throwing your apple core gravestones, I would understand. But
you're on a bench in the cemetery eating your lunch because you're right there next to it. And you're not being disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know?
He says he walked around like reading the tombstones and stuff like that. And I think that's when I've hung out in cemeteries, I would read the tombstones. I would read, imagine what their life was like. Often you find out, like, especially on like if they're a veteran or something like that, they'll tell you what war they fought in and stuff like that. I always found that interesting. It's like, what was their life like? And so that's why I don't think it's disrespectful at all. I think cemeteries are parks, are they not? I think that. Is there a Pokestop? Oh yeah, I guess so. I think there's a Pokestop in the one near my house. But would that be disrespectful, or like a gym? That's kind of disrespectful. But I mean, it's a bunch of kids hanging around. I caught an Abra. But I mean, you hang out in the cemetery, you'll see those billionaires or superheroes, the vigilante, making vows at a grave site. You killed my wife, I'm coming after you, Kingpin. That kind of thing. You'll see that in the middle of the night. But like during the day, you'll see like a guy come up and just pour a beer. Yeah, come up to the cemetery. Who talks to people in a cemetery?
Come around here much?
Yeah. Hey, I meet chicks here all the time. What you do is you walk up to somebody and you don't say anything. Just walk up to them and then poke them with your finger. It's like, oh, you're real. Sometimes you'll see a guy like come up in a car, he'll get out of his car, open a bottle of beer and pour it on a beer, on a grave, and then get in the car and drive back off. That's all you'll see. Like, what was that about? Like, fuck you, Dad. This is what it is. I hate my dad. It's that little kid all grown up. I hate my dad. Anyway, hey, glad you guys are listening and watching and commenting. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lee and Mo. Appreciate it. 4 people watching. Hey, yeah, there was a lot of live. There was 6 live viewers last 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I guess so. Thanks for sharing it. Show it to your friends. I did in this AI render. I think that's probably the cutest, most like me AI render monkey face. But it still can't figure out words. Anyway, this is going to be Shock Monkey Radio. I'll remind you, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would appreciate that very much. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. And you can follow me on social media over here at DNALATSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on the Twitters. And at SLRobbins13 on the Instagram. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.